wabarakatuh. So, my name is Rebecca binti Tajuddin. I will continue the presentation on government. First of all, is about Jabatan Audit Negara. Audit manual was published by the JAN, which is become the primary source of authoritative literature for performing government audit. Next is about audit manual. So first, what is audit manual? Audit manual outlines the authority and scope of the internal audit function, document standard, and also provides cohesive guidelines and procedures. And these guidelines also promote the consistency, stability, continuity, acceptable performance standard, and a means of coordinating the efforts of audit staff effectively. And in audit manual also consists of first is the financial statements of governmental units, which is governmental fund reporting, which are focused primarily on the sources, uses, and balance of current financial resource, and often has a budgetary orientation. The second one is government contracts and grants. So first, government contracts are the contracts that are undertaken by the government for various purposes like construction, management, maintenance, and so on. And government grants is about an award of financial assistance in the form of money by the federal government to an eligible grantee with no exception that the funds will be paid back. And the third one is internal control. So as we know, internal control is a process for assuring of an organization's objective in operational effectiveness and efficiency, reliable financial reporting, and compliance with the law, regulation, and policies. The fourth one is fraud, where fraud in audit is when an entity is found to have illegally altered financial statements to manipulate its financial health or to hide the profit or losses. And the last one is other compliance with laws and regulations. So this non-compliance with law and regulation is act of omission or commission to the entity, either is intentionally or unintentionally, which are contrary to the prevailing laws or regulations. An example of non-compliance is like collusion, forgery, or deliberate failure to record the transaction. Next is about Auditor General. So Auditor General is someone who is responsible to the public accountability by conducting independent audits on the accounts of federal government, state government, federal statutory bodies, and also activities such as activities of federal and state government ministries. So that picture is Nik Abdul Majid, which is the current Malaysian Auditor General since 23 February 2019. Next is about the responsibilities of Auditor General. So the responsibilities is responsible to do the independent audit on the federation, first the federation and the state, and then on the funds that are established in the state or the federal territory according to the Article 97. And then the third one is public authorities. The fourth one is other corporate bodies in receipt of the grant or loan from federation or a state. And the last one is about on other funds. So the next one is about standard basis of audit and reporting requirements. So first is Audit Act 1957, which is this is an act to make provision for the audit of the accounts of the federation or of the states and of certain other authorities and specified bodies. The second one is Jabatan Audit Negara's practice and experience, which is being organized by the Jabatan Audit Negara themselves. And then the third one is standards that used by accounting profession, where accounting practice to enhance financial reporting practice in all the country. The fourth one is International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, INTOSAI, which is an intergovernmental organization where members are supreme audit institutions. So the last one is other supreme audit institutions. The next one is about financial auditing and reporting requirements, which is Yellow Book. First, what is Yellow Book? Yellow Book is known as a primary source of government auditing standards and contain a lot of information regarding audit, financial statement of government unit, and other compliance with the law and regulation. So I will go one by one. So the first one is materiality and significance. So this is the level of acceptable audit risk and materiality that can be determined by the sensitivity of government activities and their public accountability. And then the next one is quality control, which is any CPA firms or organization that follow Yellow Book must comply with two requirements, which is the first one is have an appropriate system of internal control and participate in the external quality control review program, and complete the 80 hours of containing professional education in each 2-year period, and at least the 24 hours out of the 80 hours of training, all the subjects all of the subjects are related to the government environment and auditing. The third one is compliance auditing, which is the audit must provide a reasonable assurance of detecting material misstatements resulting from non-compliance with provision of contracts and or grant agreements that have a material and direct effects on the financial statements. And the fourth one is reporting, which is when preparing an audit report according to the Yellow Book, the auditor must comply with this criteria, which is the first one must state that the audit according to the GAAP, and then the report must describe the scope of auditor's test of compliance, law and regulation, and internal control. And the third one, present the result of those tests or refer to a separate report that includes the information. So the next one is about audit and reporting requirements, Single Audit Act and OMB Circular A-123. So entities that receive more than $500,000 in federal funds are subject to a single audit even if more than one agency provided funds. So and budget, OMB issue a revised Circular A-123, which is audit of states, local governments, and NPO, non-profit organizations, to provide administrative guidance for implementing the single audit requirements. Also, in this act, it will cover the audit requirements and reporting requirements. So, first about audit requirements, the audit should accordance with the standard of GAGAS, which is Generally Accepted Government Audit Standards. And the auditor also must obtain an understanding of internal control over federal programs sufficient to support a low access level of control risk for major programs. And the third one, the auditor should determine whether the client has complied with the law, regulation, and the provision of contracts or grant agreements that may have a direct and material effect on each of its major programs. Requirements, we have 5 reporting requirements, which is the first one is opinion on whether the financial statements are in accordance to the GAAP. The second one is opinion as to whether the schedule of federal awards is presented fairly in all material respect in relation to the financial statement as a whole. The third one is a report on internal control related to financial statements and major programs. The fourth one, a report on compliance with law, regulation, and the provision of contract and or grant agreements. And the last one is a schedule of findings and question costs. And next one is about guidance for auditors. So auditor who usually do this government auditing find this a bit difficult. In order to understand, they must familiar with this guidance, which is the first one is the audit guide, government auditing standards and Circular A-123 audit. And the second one is AU 801, compliance, adoption, and consideration in audit of government entities and recipients of governmental financial assistance. So that's all from me. The next point will be presented by the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. I am Nabila Farilhami binti Muhammad and I will continue the presentation with explaining the types of operational audit. So the 3 types of operational audit are functional audit, organizational audit, and special assignment. So the first one is functional audit. It classifies the activities of a business. It can deal with one or more function in an organization. A functional audit can be categorized and subdivided in many groups. The advantage of functional audit are employees can develop expertise in long term and very time efficient. The second one is organizational audit. Organizational audits deals with an entire organization such as subsidiaries, department, and branch. It emphasizes how functions integrate efficiently and effectively effectively, ensuring functional audit runs smoothly. This includes the significance of an organizational strategy and strategies for coordinating operations. The last one is a spatial assignment. It only arises if it is requested by the management for a wide range of audits. This includes determining, investigating, or recommending in order to improve the efficiency of the operational audit. Management sometimes requests in order to reduce the possibility of fraud. So my next point is who perform our operational audit. So the first one is of course the internal auditor. It is a unique position to perform operational audit. Many internal audit departments do both operational and financial auditing. They are trained professional tasked with providing independent and objective evaluations of company financial and operational business activities. They ensure that the company is compliant with federal and state law and regulation. The final reports are presented to senior management and can include recommendations. The next one is government auditors. The federal and state auditors perform operational audit as a part of doing financial audits. Performance audit include economy and efficiency audit and program audits. The purpose of economy and efficiency audit are whether the entity is acquiring, protecting, and using its resources economically and efficiently. Second one is to study the causes of efficiency and uneconomical practices. And the last one is whether the entity has complied with law and regulation concerning matter of economy and efficiency. As for the purpose of program audit are to extend whether the desired result or benefit established by the legislature or other body are being achieved. The effectiveness of organization, programs, activities or functions, and last but not least, whether the entity has complied with law and regulations applicable to the program. Internal auditors have an advantage in doing operational audits because they have access to an ongoing communication with audit committee of the board of directors. Now we move on to certified public accounting firm or CPA firm. The CPA firm study the historical financial statements and give recommendations that will benefit the audit clients. They need to know the background knowledge of the client's business because it provides useful information in order to give operational recommendation. Auditors who have experience with similar business background usually are more effective in giving relevant operational recommendation than others who don't. Clients may hire CPA firm to perform operational audit for one or more parts of their company. For example, the company may request the CPA firm to assess the efficiency and effectiveness of its database system. Management usually engage with CPA firm only if they don't have their own internal auditors or if their internal auditors lack expertise in a certain area. The next slide is on most important qualities of an operation auditor, that is independence and competence. So the auditor should ensure that the investigation and recommendation are made without bias. Independence are not usually a problem for CPA firm auditors because they are not associated with the audited company. For internal auditor, the independence are enhanced with sending the internal audit report to the board of directors. Similar to a government auditor, they need to send the report to the level above their operating department. It is important that operating personnel have the authority to accept or reject the recommendation. My next point is competence. Competence is vital to determine the cause of operational problem and to make appropriate recommendations. However, in auditing in wide-ranging operations, it can be a problem. It can be difficult to find a qualified internal auditor who can evaluate both effectiveness of a marketing program and the efficiency of production assembly process. So my last slide would be on the criteria for evaluating efficiency and effectiveness. The sources of criteria is to develop specific evaluation criteria for operational audit. Selecting specific criteria is a major challenge in operational auditing to determine whether there are efficiency and effectiveness. In auditing historical financial statement standards, it provides the wide criteria For evaluating fair presentation, an audit objective facilitate more specific criteria in deciding whether the standards have been followed. Most specific criteria are desirable before starting an operational audit. So the next slide will be continued by Humaydi.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Siti Faika. By the way, my name is Muhammad Farhan bin Jafri. I will be continuing for next part, which is operational auditing. So what is operational auditing? Operational auditing is an examination of the manner in which organizations conduct business with the objective of pointing out improvement that will increase the efficiency and effectiveness. This type of audit is substantially different from a normal audit, where the objective is to examine the adequacy of control and to evaluate the fairness of presentation of the financial statement. Operational audits are usually conducted by internal audit staff, though specialists can be hired to conduct reviews in their areas of expertise. The primary users of the audit recommendations are the management team, and especially the managers of those areas that have been reviewed. Next, we need to know what are the difference between operational and financial auditing. So for the point of purpose of the audit, this is the important difference. Financial auditing emphasizes whether historical information was correctly recorded, while operational audit emphasizes effectiveness and efficiency. Financial auditing is oriented to the past, while operational auditing focusing on improving future performance. For example, operational audit may evaluate whether a type of new material is being purchased at the lowest cost to save money on future raw material purchases. Next, in the point for distribution of the reports, financial auditing reports are typically distributed to external user of financial statements such as stockholders and bankers, while operational audit reports are intended primarily for management. Operational audit reports vary greatly from audit to audit due to the restricted distribution of operational reports and the various nature of audits for efficiency and effectiveness. For the, for the next point, which is inclusion of non-financial areas, financial audits are limited to issues that have a direct impact on the presentation of financial statement, while operational audit covers an aspect of efficiency and effectiveness in an organization. I will give an example which an operational audit might address the effectiveness of an advertising program or efficiency of factory employees. Auditors must develop particular criteria for monitoring effectiveness and efficiency before an activity may be carried out. Effectiveness in general relates to achieving goals such as creating components that are free of loss. Efficiency relates to assessing the resource utilized to accomplish those goals, such as determining if the manufactured uh, at the lowest possible cost. Let's take a look at this table which differentiate between the financial auditing and operational auditing. So for the first point, the purpose of an operational audit is to determine if the organization activities are being carried out effectively and efficiently, while the purpose of financial auditing is to gain an independent assessment on true and fair perspective on financial account. Next, operational audit carried out by internal auditors, while financial audit is carried out by external auditors. For the reports, operational audit report does not have a standard report, while a financial audit report does have a standard report. For operational audit, report do not need to be made public, while financial audit reports must be published publicly. Operational audit is performed by auditors who are employees of the company and hence under the management supervision, while financial audits are performed by external auditors who are not under management authority. The operational auditing emphasizes the efficiency and effectiveness of an organization. For financial auditing, it's emphasized whether the historical information was correctly recorded. Next, we need to know what are the difference between the effectiveness and efficiency. So for effectiveness refers to the accomplishment of objective. For example, an auditor might need to assess whether a governmental agency has met its assigned objective of achieving elevator for safety in a city. The auditor must create precise criteria for elevator safety in order to assess the agency's effectiveness. Is it, for example, the agency goal to examine all of the city's elevator at least once a year? Is the goal to ensure that no one dies as a result of an elevator malfunction, or that no malfunction occurs? For efficiency, efficiency is defined as reducing costs without reducing effectiveness. There must be defined criteria for what is meant by doing things more efficiently before operational auditing can be meaningful. Is it often easier? It is often easier to set efficiency than effectiveness criteria if efficiency is defined as reducing cost without reducing effectiveness. For example, if two different production processes manufacture a product of identical quality, the process with the lower cost considered more efficient. As we are focusing on effectiveness and efficiency, we also need to know the typical type of inefficiency. The table shown here are the several inefficiency, which the first one is acquisition of goods and service is too costly. For example, bids for purchases of material are not required. Next is raw material are not available for production when needed. Example for this point is where an entire line must be shut down because necessary materials were not ordered. That's a duplication of effort by employees exists. Example for this is identical production records are kept by both the accounting and production department because they are unaware of each other activities. Next is work is done that serve no purpose. Vendors invoice and receiving reports are filled without being used. Last but not least, there are too many employees. Example for this is office work could be done but, with one less assistant. Instead, they hire many people. The last point for me is on this part, which is the relationship between operational auditing and internal control. So under this point, includes of three subpoints, which is reliability of financial reporting, efficiency and effectiveness of operation, and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. So for the efficiency and effectiveness of operation, operational auditing deals with efficiency and effectiveness of organization. For the reliability of financial reporting, it is responsible to ensure financial information is fairly presented and comply with approved accounting standards. Last but not least, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Failure to comply with applicable laws and regulation can result large fine to the company. That's all from me. Thank you. Next will be continued by Nabila Farah Ilhami.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Muhammad Fazil Humaydi bin Mustafar. Okay, today I would like to present about my part. Okay, here plan and perform an operational audit process. Okay, what is about the plan and perform? Okay, the process of the operational auditing is not much different from other audits performed by the internal auditors. Okay, those include planning, execution, reporting, and follow up. Here, okay, next, that's the source of criteria of an operational audit process. There is four source of the criteria. Okay, there is first, okay, historical performance. Okay, we can see the historical performance about their past performance lah in that company. Okay, number 2, that benchmarking. How about benchmark that company that use. Okay, and third, engineers standard. Okay, after they all complete their financial or project or anything else about their work, engineer standard means want to what we call to check lah, for mengeluarkan to produce their product to public. Okay, and last but not least, discussion and agreement. Okay, there must be have a discussion and agreement about their product. Okay, next. Planning and operational audit process. Okay, here we can see about their plan about their process and operational about this audit process lah. And the auditor needs to obtain an understanding of the business as well as its operation. Then they need to make an assessment to and target which the key operation should they perform. Okay, next. With better understanding on the process of operational audit, the result will be more accurate and properly conducted. Okay, performing an operational audit. Okay, after that, we must perform an operational audit, like as validating the key control and the operation involve obtaining the key document, observing how certain key control is performing, and inspecting certain documents like sales invoice, goods delivery notes. Okay, next, audit documentation is one of the key evidence need in performing both operational audit or financial audit. Audit document. Okay, we can see about the audit in operational means like ni lah, external work. Not only the financial only. Financial means internal. We just see the reporting or their process financial lah. Okay, under my ni lah, my understanding. After they perform, they must report an operational audit process. Then, once the key operation and control are validated, the report needs to be prepared by the personnel in charge. Thus, the report will be submitted to the audit committee for their performance and inspection review. And the audit committee must not compromise any possible outcome of the operational audit conduct. And then after the reporting, and then they must follow up about their work lah. There is follow up of an operational audit process, same as other internal audits, any key findings and recommendations that prepared by the auditor need to follow up whether those key findings are mitigated by related management and or department. Okay, next. Okay, that's all from me, and thank you for my presentation. All of that. Thank you.